Hello, Sagittarius. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm really looking forward to bringing through all of the messages for the month of October. I received quite a bit this morning as I was tuning into Spirit, so we'll have a great amount of information coming through in the channeled messages. And I just have a very good energy about this reading too, so I'm looking forward to seeing where it takes us. Little hello here from Apollo. I'm going to put him down so we can get started. Thanks, buddy. All right. First of all, my name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. And for everybody that's brand new, welcome. You're going to enjoy today. I have a really great sort of collection of messages that'll be coming through, as I said. Let me talk a little bit about how everything is structured. I want to welcome back everybody that is a returning viewer as well. The first part of the reading is channeled messages. And the way that I receive that message or that information is it's a combination of things. The night before, I kind of set an intention to receive anything that I need to for your sign. So I get a lot of information through dreams and visions. Then I also wake up, and when I select the deck of cards that I'm going to use, I'll start meditating. Messages will come through. And then through the act of automatic writing, which is basically just channeling as you write, everything gets clarified and crystallized into what I will share with you in just a moment. So channeled message. Then we'll go to the cards and do a traditional Celtic cross and look at high points, challenges, all those little in-between things that make up a month. And then we will look at an extended forecast showing health, wealth, love, and destiny. That way the center card spread can take on whatever it needs to. I don't necessarily theme it as just love or just work. It can be a combination. And then the expanded forecast will make sure that we hit in those areas. After that, we'll do a quick review, go to the soul path, which is taking something that we've learned or a few threads that we've learned and going deeper. And then we'll do some integration through a meditation and a sound bath at the end. So as you can tell, it's pretty all-inclusive. We'll be here for just a little over an hour. And once this is on replay, everything is put into chapters so you can find the spot if you want. But the reading actually is going to begin in just a second when I get into these channeled messages. It's not just the cards because I am clairvoyant. So to me, the channeled messages are just as integral as what I'm pulling through the Celtic cross. And I like to kind of highlight that. It can be used for sun, rising, moon. You're welcome to cross watch. You can watch on behalf of someone else as well. I'd like to welcome Ryan and Maria as well. Those two lovely folks are my moderators. They'll answer any questions about like what we're doing or what's coming next. High level questions, they're here to help out. One more thing before we get started. Super chat is welcome, but I don't take questions during my reading because I kind of go into a channeled state. And if I have to read everything, it takes me out of that state. So it really functions more as a way to offer support. And I'll be actually using a new deck that I've only used a couple of times here. This is called Spirit Within. It's unique because it's all silhouettes. So that's something that I got from the help of you guys. So this is one of my newer decks. I've only used it I think one or two months. So this is fairly new. So if you want to continue to support me purchasing new decks, I'm trying to kind of refresh and get another, 7 or 8 decks so that there's new things to look at. Super chat's a way to do it. I'll thank you in a pinned comment when it goes on replay. All right, let's go ahead now and get into the messages. I want to make sure that I cover everything today and we don't run over. So let's get to the first section here, which was about time management. What I saw was that it was almost as if you were in like The Amazing Race, that TV show, where you're going to be at a fast pace sometimes, and then other periods you'll kind of be in a plateau. So there's these sprints and also rest periods. And I think what's important is to figure out how can you pace yourself, and also you don't want to be burning the candle at both ends consistently. So burnout is something for some of you to be aware of. If you're in a place where you're not employed or you're waiting to go back to work, then this is really saying that it's time to pick up the pace a little bit and start to be maybe more proactive or aggressive, or finding other things that you can do, redirecting the energy, because once you pick up the momentum, things start to happen. So periods of starting and stopping, not a consistent sort of predictable mental hum here this month. It's going to be starting and stopping. And I think if you can be comfortable with that, you're going to be in a good place. What was nice is the guide showed me at one point someone was carrying you for a little bit. And it was very loving support. So support is available if you're willing to allow that to come in. And that's the key. Some folks out there, I know that you really want to do it yourself, but know that there'll be a chance for you to focus on other things if you delegate, if you relax a little bit. And sometimes support requires a sense of basically submitting a little bit and saying, yeah, it's okay, come on in, you can do this, or maybe I'll have to take a look at this later, but it's going to be time better spent than me trying to do everything at once and maybe missing something. So for some of you, it's just about not overdoing it. For some, it's about delegation. For the rest of you, it might be about revving the engine up a little bit and getting the momentum started. So time management, energy management, first message that came through. A little side note, that support that I was seeing, if you're single and looking, even if you're single and happy, it could end up being someone who is interested in you, because I felt that it was more than just love and support. If that bothers you, make sure that you have really good boundaries put up when that energy comes through. If it's not something that you were looking for, then express that and make sure that there's no mixed signals or missed opportunity because of that. Okay. If you are working with family, for family, or if there's an exchange of money with friends or loved ones, things could get a little dicey. It always is a little messy, but we are entering into a retrograde period. So during this time, it's also very important to make sure everything's spelled out clearly, and take extra care if you're going to somehow exchange money or services with someone very, very close. Again, whether that's friends or family or someone that you just really care about, make sure that the contract has been spelled out and that the terms are amenable to both sides. And like I said, expectations should be spelled out, but also saying thank you will go a long way, because with those close friendships, when you're just working with someone at work, sometimes you can be more transactional. But when you're working with a friend or family member, that can seem cold, and it's important to try to keep a mix of your relationship and the business. And this is why it gets messy, right? You can't just say, I need you to fix that, because they're like, why are you snapping at me? And you might just be saying, this is business. I need that done by 6 o'clock. So that's where it's going to be a little bit tricky, and you're going to have to do your part. And if you don't want to do this, just avoid it altogether. The other thing is, when it comes to loaning money this month in particular, you may not see everything come back to you. So if you have it within your capacity just to give a gift, maybe it's a smaller amount, but there's no repayment terms, that's going to end up being so much better for you and for the other person. Or just say no. If it doesn't feel right, say, I value our friendship more than me being able to help you out with this. I can't do this. I don't want to lose you as a friend, and I get crazy over money or something like that. It's better to be honest about it, or just give it to the person without expecting it coming back. So a lot of messages around care with people that you care about when it comes to work, money, and services. Again, retrograde hits squarely around the middle of the month. So hopefully, if you do have to engage in anything like that, it will be at the beginning part of October. All right. Next thing, speaking of relationships, there's a theme here. In addition to possibly a new person coming in that could be very supportive, I also saw the potential for someone to come in that could be trying to get into either like between you and someone that you care about, or trying to kind of break up something like that, whether it's a love relationship or a friendship. So if that third party comes in, be aware of it and think about the person that you've been spending time with for years. There's a lot of time and energy invested in that, and you don't want to throw that away. And so this third party, you want to just really be strong in your boundaries and say no, push back, don't get into something that you don't want to. This could also simply be sort of like a test or a temptation when it comes to higher judgment. So they may be serving up something that sounds too good to be true. It probably is, if that's the case. Or if they're trying to convince you to do something, this could be a coworker, where it might be contrary to company policy, or you just know in your heart of hearts that this isn't right. You really want to follow through on that intuition and stay in the light on that. Everything will come to the light of day. So you want to make sure that when it's exposed, you have nothing to worry about. So just expect some sort of a audit, whether it's a spiritual audit or an actual audit, and make sure that you are clear and clean in that respect. On to a different note, I feel like this is a great time to break some new ground or even have a breakthrough. What I was seeing in my mind's eye was construction. The interesting thing is I found myself walking unknowingly into a construction site or onto a work site. and I didn't have a protective hat on, and I had to kind of double back. And then I was trying to ascertain how long the delay would be, and it was going to be for a while. And so construction is possible, making things kind of happen even amidst all the sort of delays that are going on in the world anyway because of coronavirus. It's all possible, but expect the unexpected. And you really want to make sure that you're not just putting in extra time, like padding for that, for basically needing to be more adhering to any sort of rules and regs, but also you want to protect yourself. It could be insurance. It could be the gear that you're wearing. We could even be talking about, how you're going about keeping yourself safe during this time. But basically, preparation is key. So if you're going to do any kind of construction, or if you're just going about work in general, expect some delays and work ahead of those delays by padding them with adjusting the budget for something. This could be even just budget for you, for living, for saving. Normally, maybe you need 6 or 8 months prepared unemployment. Now, maybe you need to make sure that you keep extra for like 12 to 15 to 2 years or something, just to make sure that you're okay. So it's all about preparing for the unexpected. But even amidst that, you can still make some progress, and that's the main message here. You just have to have that preparation and that insurance and prepare for delays. To that end, this is an okay time. Retrograde is really good for anything that starts with RE. So like repairing, replacing, or kind of finishing something that you haven't already finished, that's fine. You typically want to start the new stuff before the midpoint of the month. But if it's a release, or if it's a revision, or if it's a revisiting, you can do it anytime during the whole month. In fact, retrograde is actually supportive of those activities. One thing, sometimes I get strangely specific information for you. For those of you that are working from home and thinking maybe I'll get back to work in the office sooner, this is where my guides were saying, could take a little longer. And in this case, repair, replace, or upgrade your equipment at home, computers, and especially the internet speed. If you're trying to skimp, the speed is the worst thing, actually, because everything nowadays is streaming. Your television, your email, Zoom, all of the teleconferencing. And why would you? That's like putting bad gasoline in your car or petrol in your car, the worst grade, and it's just going to ruin the engine. Or you're paying for a really slow car, but you have to get somewhere and you're going to spend a lot of time in it. This is your main transportation to and from stuff right now. So put the right, basically put the right stuff in that, so that you're not kind of like anemic when it comes to trying to communicate with people, chopping out and everything. I know that when I started doing live videos, I had to upgrade everything, my computer, my modem, my speed, so that it wasn't choppy. In fact, back in the beginning of the year, I had one sign where that happened, and I thought, never again. I had to re-record it, and it was totally worth the time and energy just to upgrade. So for many of you, just get the speed that you need, or ask for some additional, maybe you need extra funds or money or equipment from your workplace so that you can get set up at home. That's okay, ask for it, because you shouldn't have to do it all on your own, especially if you have no choice but to work from home. Okay, enough with that. The next thing that I was seeing was with respect to diet. Full disclaimer here, before you change anything in your diet, you should talk to your doctor or talk to a dietitian. That being said, I did get some messages and I want to share them. What my guides showed me was a chimera, which is, it's sort of like this weird double-headed beast. And it comes through in a few different religions and mythologies, like even Egyptian mythology has these beasts that are kind of like, they're weird, they shouldn't exist. And so whenever I see a chimera, it's sort of things put together that shouldn't be put together, and sometimes dangerous combinations. Because in mythology, it was a beast that had to be sort of, it was protecting things, but you had to kind of put it down, get rid of it, because it was dangerous. It was a fire-breathing sort of dangerous beast. Okay, so the chimera showed up, and then I was looking at a buffet of food. And when I looked at the meats and I looked at the preparation of the food, none of it looked recognizable to me. Everything seemed artificial, and it made sense. I'm like, okay, a chimera is a combination of things that shouldn't exist. And so the food needs to be simplified a little bit, going more towards whole foods, towards organic. And that's really what this was about. This is the key piece. Eat more organic food. It needs to be less produced or processed, less refined. It needs to just be more natural, and less meat. There was meat everywhere, and none of it looked appetizing. So try to have more variety, and please work with a professional when you're doing that. If you make any changes in your diet, work with a professional. that goes without saying. One other thing that I saw was like, I felt like it was bait and switch, basically, that I was being showed one thing, but then when I kind of cut into what was there, it didn't look real. So marketing is an illusion. Read through the labels, and if it doesn't taste good or doesn't look good, try to go to a source where you can actually see what you're making. So stuff out of a box or that has way too many ingredients that you can't pronounce, it's really important to get more real with the food, okay? The next piece was about really positive shifts that are coming through with the next moon cycle. The new moon in particular is what's going to open up a portal. So as with all new moons, it's a good time to kind of set new intentions and start to prepare for the changes ahead. What I saw with respect to this new lunar cycle was a vision of a plant that was being put into a bigger pot so that it could grow, so that the roots could expand. And so for some of you, it means that it could be time for a move. Or if you've recently moved, it's a time to get established because it was a combination of the two in the vision. The other thing that I saw was a quick flash to kind of looking at TV, and I didn't want to watch stuff that had been on anymore. And what I realized is as we're entering the final sector here of this year, the last 3 months or so, it's time to kind of create a new season of your life. Basically, no more reruns. We can't even go back to really what we were doing before. So much in the world has changed that the old stuff doesn't work anymore. If you've ever watched something from like the early 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, or the 70s, it's interesting to see how out of sync, even something like if you watch the X-Files and they're using like a flip phone or something like that, pre-iPhone, pre-Android, it's very weird when you even watch early 2000s things or 80s, 90s things and there's no phones. And we realize, wow, you know, like we've become very dependent on certain things that didn't exist just 20 years ago. So the same thing has kind of happened in the year that is 2020. There's been a big compression where a lot of change has happened. And so there is no rerun. You're going to cast a new season, a new role, a new possibility for you. And that's really what the new moon is bringing in. So part of that is going to mean new processes as well. You might have to work around old ways of doing things, and you're going to have to try to bring that breakthrough mentality to some people in your life that are still watching the reruns, if that makes sense. All right, really quickly, I just want to touch upon what we just talked about here. So series of highs and lows, some sprints. You're going to have to kind of figure out how to manage your time during that. New relationships coming in. Some are helpful. Some might be challenging or trying to test old relationships. You can break new ground, but you need to be prepared for everything coming through. When it comes to food and diet, simplify. Make sure you know what you're eating. Repair or replace old stuff in your life, particularly equipment or internet connections need to be upgraded. And then we have a new moon opening a new portal. And in that period of time, you can start to set intentions and get yourself in the right direction. So that's like in 1 minute, everything that I just covered. I'm going to quickly stack these up nice and neatly, and then we're going to get ready now for the Celtic Cross. The way that I handle this is I like to remain quiet so that I can pay attention to what I'm seeing. I also receive additional information. So as I start to pull the cards, just be patient. Afterwards, I'll pull each card up to the camera. We'll talk about it. So don't worry, you'll get a nice in-depth view of it. And if you miss anything, I do a quick review at the end, just like I did there, where very quickly I can summarize everything and bring it into focus. All right, let me just push these cards up and we're gonna get started. So welcome everybody, it's good to see you today and can't wait to see the messages. Again, this is for October for Sun, Rising, and Moon for Sagittarius. Just put my glasses on and we'll get started. I follow Western. I do tropical, this is tropical astrology, but hopefully that helps. I get that question a lot. If you're here, you're likely to get a message that you need. I'm going to add that, especially in the channeled piece that I had at the beginning. I'm a clairvoyant, so the beginning part is for whoever showed up. Okay, thank you, everybody. Let's start with the catalyst. Interesting, we have Achilles here, and the message here is confidence. And, you know, I actually had an ankle sprain a couple months ago, actually. And it's interesting that I had to stand up for myself when I had the sprain. And it was a really contentious, difficult conversation that I had with somebody. So sometimes it's confidence, sometimes it's power. A lot of times it's just being able to stand firm and strong. And that was part of the messages that I had for you earlier. So I definitely can relate with what's going on here. The card was reversed, which for some of you is a situation where you're being put in a position where maybe you're not sure if you have the strength, or maybe you're not always comfortable speaking up or whatever, because this could be your Achilles tendon. So whatever part of your personality you feel you need to do a little bit of work on it. It's actually stronger than you think, but you just have to be careful with it and watch where you're going and watch how you conduct yourself. But Achilles was very, very strong. So I would say lean on the other parts of your personality, of your skill set. His ankle, his tendon was the one area where he was weak, because if I remember the myth correctly, he was dipped in magic waters, but he was held by that one tendon. Mythology helps, so you should study that if you can. It comes in handy with stuff like this. But so for you, I would think every other part of you that you can lean on this month that you feel really comfortable with, great, do that. And if there's one part that you want to work on a little bit, do it. And it may be confidence. Don't underestimate yourself. And don't let someone get in there and try to kind of like push your buttons, okay? So stand tall, speak up for yourself, and watch yourself when it comes to be either under kind of appreciating or estimating your confidence, or being overconfident. That could be your Achilles tendon this month, or Achilles heel. All right, looking now at your center card, we have the Knight of Wands. Really great card for being able to bring some movement in your life when it comes to ideation. I like that the sun behind this particular knight is almost like what you would see in church, an icon or a nimbus, this beautiful halo of energy. So your mind is where your power is this month. You want to keep it clear, keep it open, and keep it active. Even if there are other parts of your life where you feel like things aren't happening, keep this muscle working, because this is going to be something that you can lean on, and it's going to bring the abundance in the months and years to come. So if there's something you feel like you really want to put your time and energy into, whether it's a project, whether it's school, or if you want to work on something artistic, by all means do it and take some action this month. Nights don't wait for it to happen. So I want to see some progress happening with that. For some of you, it could be a combination here. We have then the Page of Swords, which is really good at communicating and receiving information. So if you're a writer, composer, if you're also maybe even in the legal profession, these two cards are fantastic. We're seeing a connection between thoughts and action, and also really using your words and anything that you can to express yourself in a nice way this month. So with the Page of Swords, one thing that I would say is you always want to practice really good listening. And then, but we didn't have a reverse. This is crossed. So I would just say, lean on your communication skills, improve them if you want to. It is a page. I like to always see like knights and queens if I can in these areas. So maybe there's a little bit of work you can do to just make sure that you're speaking clearly and listening carefully this month. But because we have a Knight of Wands and a Page of Swords together, I'm seeing a nice connection between being able to create some action and do something impactful. So use your words, use your voice, it matters. As we look at the deep past, one thing that you want to be mindful of is self-confidence. How you feel about yourself directly relates to what others think of you. And it's interesting that in this particular Five of Pentacles, we see the moon factoring in. as a very large element here, which to me also brings in the connotations of the moon card, which is sometimes just fear and anxiety. To me, I don't freak out when I see 5 of Pentacles or 2 of Pentacles. A lot of what comes through in these 2 types of resource cards is sometimes internal balance and external balance. So don't put too much energy or weight into what other people have said about you in the past. The 6 of Wands is what they're saying now. The 5 of Pentacles is about what they used to say and how that affected you and somehow compounded or created maybe insecurities that you might have. So see yourself as more valuable. And when it comes to just general finances, I'm going to take a quick glance at everything. I think you're going to be okay, but this is about not overextending yourself. It's a break-even card when we're looking at money. I like 6 of Pentacles better, but if you don't overdo it this month, I think you're going to be okay. So just stay balanced. And I think a lot of this too is about speaking up. If you're not getting valued enough, paid enough, respected enough, it's now your new season for that. As we were talking about recasting yourself, that's what you're going to do. You're going to say, enough with that old version of me. I'm in a new season. I might even feel like I'm a different actor. I'm going to take this on in a different way. And I use that analogy, but it's actually quite accurate to the way our incarnation works. We come back again and again in different lifetimes and we take on different roles. We don't have to wait to switch out of our body to switch things up. So recast yourself, basically, is what I'm saying with that. You may also have some energy between you and a parent or a sibling that needs healing. This is a family card. Normally, we would see that family member here. They're missing altogether in this particular illustration. The message here is that you're strong enough to do this on your own. Whether that person has been consistently in your life or has just kind of recently popped out and they're not giving you what you need, it doesn't matter. You already have what it takes to be happy, successful, strong. You've got this. It could be a mother for some of you, or just a really strong kind of maternal energy, maybe a boss or a friend that kind of pops in and wants to mother you. Again, the message here is you don't need that. And in fact, maybe you're becoming your own sort of manager here, because this to me is a management card as well. Notice how we see the dogs around this person. We talked about loyalty being a very important factor this month. Look at the relationships you really love and trust. If somebody tries to come in, lean on the fact that, you know, if you've had a really long experience with someone in history, you want to measure that against maybe some gossip or some rumors. We all have that happen sometimes where people spread a rumor. You don't want to cut someone out because you haven't given them a chance to kind of tell their side of the story. So part of what we see here is active listening, active communication, doing something about something that isn't right. So if someone that you love is getting hurt or bullied or talked about in a way that makes you feel bad, stand up for them, or at least let them tell their side of the story. Mostly though, this is saying it's time for you to focus on you. It's an upright Empress. So I feel really good about anything that you decide to champion this month. That's the positive energy here. She is very capable of growth, of management, of bringing something from one stage and bringing it to another. So when I saw that repotting sort of visual with my guides, that's exactly what the Empress can do. This is great. Let's make it even better. And we have the 3 of Swords in your crowning position reversed. So it's time for healing is what this is saying. Notice how they're no longer through the heart, which I like. This is a good 3 of Swords. You don't have to forever stay in that state of feeling like I'm holding on to a grudge or the pain is always there. It hasn't healed completely, but this is a card of healing, even in its upright position. The reverse is definitely a chance to release. So for some of you, maybe this is the first time that you're feeling like, I'm starting to get over this, or I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So continue to heal yourself, continue to nurture yourself, and know that you're sometimes made stronger by these experiences. It doesn't feel like it when you're going through it, but if you survive this, it makes you stronger. It gives you perspective. And in my experience, people who have had to kind of push a little bit, haven't gotten everything overnight, aren't they always the ones that are a little bit easier to sort of like just be with, because they have empathy, because they have an understanding of how hard it is to get where you are? So, you know, definitely know that you are strong, you're getting stronger, that if something in your life has given you the sense of feeling sad or let down, it's going to be okay. It's all part of the bigger plan. We have the 7 of Wands here, which is A defense card, it's interesting because I mentioned about, just making sure that you prepare for things and also defend yourself and protect yourself. So we're looking at insurance, protection, and then also making sure that you don't get involved in any unnecessary battles. If you're going to fight a battle, make sure that it's one that you're passionate about. Make sure it's one that involves you. There could be something going on this month where you're caught in the crossfire of the argument, or the sort of the messiness of a situation. You're already in a place where you're starting to heal. You don't have to kind of get involved in someone else's drama. So this could be just a random coworker. It could be someone in your life that tends to kind of pop in and want to try to evoke some sort of a reaction. You don't have to take the bait. The other thing with the Seven of Wands is it is a gateway card to the Eight of Wands, which is busyness. So for some of you, maybe your business has been struggling a bit, but now you're starting to see it pick up as things gradually start to open up. Maybe because other people have gone out of business, your business is now more unique and more in demand. So you may get to a point where you need to get some help. The Seven of Wands is a card that shows you can do everything, but it's a question like, should you really be doing everything all the time? So if you need help, ask for help. That was something that I picked up on earlier. In fact, with those sprints, you don't want to have burnout. And then I mentioned the support is there, but you have to allow it to come in. The Seven of Wands is a card that has a very hard time asking for help or receiving help. So fight the fights that matter. Don't fight the other ones. Work as hard as you need to, but when you're ready to get help, it's there, and it's probably a smart thing because it will allow you to go from 8 to 9 to 10 of Wands. You'll start to see a lot of movement. And by the way, that's there on the horizon. So we'll talk about that in a second. All right, looking now at a very important card, Judgment reversed. So Judgment is oftentimes a chance to have a second chance to rise from something. Like it is a Phoenix card in many decks. It's also a decision card. So Judgment involves sometimes accepting a decision that you've already made, particularly when it's reversed. If it's upright, it might mean the completion of that making of the decision. But this is saying, I know what I need, but why am I not doing it? Or someone else told me to do something and I don't want to do it, but I can't control it. So there's usually a lack of control or a lack of acceptance that's involved with this card. So my rhetorical question to you is, what is it that you're trying to, I mean, you already know the answer, but what is it you're trying to deal with? Like, why can't you accept something? And then go to the root of that and think, if I do accept it, what's my fear around this? I think you have to really go to the fear or to the thing that's causing anxiety, because the decision's already been made. So what can you do about the decision, and how can you get past that decision? For those of you waiting for a decision from a court case, it's probably going to come in. It may not always be exactly what you want, but it didn't come through with a devil or 10 of swords around it. So to this, it's just sort of like accepting and then finally moving past that. The other thing with Judgment that's kind of interesting is it can be just the completion of a goal, because this is death and rebirth. And sometimes we don't want to let go of things, right? Especially if it's something that we've been working on for a long time, whether it's a health goal. Maybe you were trying to lose a lot of weight and you got there, and now it's like, well, what do I do now? That was a big part of who I was, and now I'm there, and now I've got to accept the new me, and this is me. Or it could be that you're trying to complete a project, finish building a house or something, and it's been absorbing, your time for the past couple of years. And then when it's done, it's anticlimactic, right? That day that you finish it, whoo, it's amazing. But then the days and the weeks that follow, it's sort of like, I'm lost. What do I do? So this is just a little bit of soul searching and figuring out the next big thing in your life. I told you, give it 1 month, 1 moon cycle, and start to plant the seeds for something bigger, something better. There's always something else around the horizon. Successful people always have many irons in the fire, so that you can continue to create and continue to move things, okay? So acceptance is the big message here, and moving past something that has already finished, but for some reason, there's a little bit of holding on to. We have the 10 of Cups, also reversed. A lot of you are being pulled at from many directions, friends, family, people that love you. You probably have a good ability to listen. We have the speaking and listening cards at the center. So just make sure that you get what you need as well, because when the cups are in reverse, it can sometimes be a little taxing. So maybe part of the agreement is making sure during a conversation that you interject and say, I've done a lot of listening. I need to actually ask your advice on something. Can I interject? So just get your voice in there at the table a little bit. Also with 10 of Wands reversed, this could be either standing up for someone that you love, or it could be someone coming into your life that is trying to sort of get a seat at the table and they haven't gotten to know you yet. So this is someone that's coming on too strong, because the 7 of Wands and the 10 of Cups reversed means take your time a little bit. I need to get to know you. So if your red flags are going up, if your third eye is saying, hey, we need to take our time here and make sure that this is the right connection, honor that as well. So don't let someone push their way in, make you make a decision that you don't want, whatever. You're strong. This is something you do want to stand up for yourself and say, not yet, no, or I don't know who you are just yet. I need to take some time here. When I'm looking at what's available to you this month, it is moving up, moving on, finishing something. And that goes right hand in hand with the Judgment card. If you allow something to finally kind of leave your life, then it's time for a new journey. So the question is, where are you going in the 10 of Wands card? Usually you see someone heading up a hill towards a house, a castle, or an unknown destination. So it feels like the last few months of the year are holding this sort of energy open for you to release and restart. So it's a good time now, even if you don't know where you're going next, to start to think about that and then really focus on the completion. With the 10 of Wands, even though it's upright, I would say also don't shoulder the burden alone. We definitely feel the burden energy in this particular illustration. So you're not alone. Help is around you. Tap into the right kind of help, because like I said, you want to be discerning. Discerning is another message, or discernment, I should say. But ultimately, with the 10 of Wands and the Judgment card, completion, release, moving forward. The cool thing is that we're ending on my favorite card, the Star, which is saying that you're finally now maybe being allowed a chance for to kind of step into something that you truly love or truly want to do. So if you've been biding time, if you've been really building up to really being able to step into the light and do something that's you, this is a chance to reveal. This is a chance to come out, to start to step into that power. She's upright, which is fantastic. And there's a little bird in this particular illustration, which for me means that this could be the beginning of an announcement, or the way that you could get into this is to state your intention. To me, birds are like swords in the different decks, so it's a communication that needs to happen. So how are you going to start the next thread, the next process? It could be as simple as an email, a letter, a declaration, a contract. It's going to be the written or spoken piece that will probably start in October, or in the next few weeks here. But the months that follow are going to pick up pace quite a bit, and that's why the Star energy here is at the end. Make sure that you're being authentic to your true self. The Star is successful because it is authentic and sometimes singular or different or standing out from the crowd a little bit. What makes you unique makes you successful. Homogeny is not part of the Star. Okay, so you shouldn't blend in. It's not a wallflower. It's the flower. All right, let's go ahead and expand the forecast. We'll look at health, wealth, love, and destiny and get some additional insights for each and every card that we saw. We have here in health, I choose to learn through love. It's interesting because your crowning card had the heart space as being something that needs to be healed. And then when we look in your deep past, we also have self-love and acceptance and self-confidence. So healing the wounds of the past, that would be the first message that I'm seeing with respect to the spiritual and emotional side of your health. Anything that you need to do, maybe talking to a psychologist or psychiatrist to get that support, please do that. Looking at the heart space, make sure that you're just taking good care of it. So making sure, like with this, 7 of Wands can actually be physical activity where you're doing some resistance training, like push-ups, sit-ups, or something where you're building up the muscle sort of definition in your body. It can even just be sort of like, again, Pilates is another way, or yoga. You can do lower intensity energy kind of workouts as well. But get stronger in your body and also help your heart get stronger. Obviously, work with a doctor. Everybody's body is different and everybody's limits are different, so you want to listen to those. Now, looking at just some of the other cards for general messages with the health of your body, I would say don't overdo it if you are lifting. I did see construction work. I think some of you might be trying to do home improvements. and it was a little bit of a mess. So make sure that you are protecting yourself. You should be wearing a helmet. You should be wearing a mask anyway, because we're wearing those now. But in case there's any sort of debris in the air, if you're doing that kind of stuff. And then if you're walking a lot outside, make sure that you have a new pair of shoes, that if you're carrying a purse, an attaché, or a backpack, that the weight is evenly distributed, because to me, the 10 of Wands is poorly distributed weight on your back, and it could hit you anywhere from the top of your head right to the top of your buttock. It's that whole space. So just make sure that you're taking care of it. And of course, that your bed, that you've replaced the mattress occasionally, or that your pillows are okay. Your back health comes through really strong and clear. All right, let's look now at wealth. We looked at health, we're looking at wealth. So we have Radha here, and it says soul flame, discover a lost part of yourself, experience relationship harmony and healing. So I do think that things can go deeper. I saw that there could be new love coming into your life. For some of you, this could be a really deep connection. The card was reversed, which means that the timing may not be what you're expecting, or that you're being challenged to allow it to come in sooner. Sometimes we put these artificial milestones on things. Like once I achieve this in school, or once I achieve this in life, or once this happens, then I'm ready. Looks like your partner might be ready right now for some sort of a change or movement in your life. So you're being asked to be ready sooner, or to love yourself more. Maybe some of you are looking at and thinking, well, if I could lose 10 pounds, or if I could get more money in the bank, or if I could get this job, or love is ready now for some of you. So it's saying, love yourself, open up. It's actually coming in to bolster you up or to help you. So there's help and love and support, and it could be a friend, it could be a love interest, it could be an existing relationship, but something internally, and this could be the judgment card for some of you, is saying, I deny myself this ability to receive more abundance. That's why it's showing up in wealth. You are worth what's ever coming your way. So open yourself up to love and abundance, love yourself more, and allow more love to come in for you for the future. Because it's there, it's knocking on the door with this soul flame card. So new friend, new love, a deepening of an existing relationship, but for some reason it's knocking on your door because you have to be willing to let it in. Are you ready to let it in? And if you're not ready, is it because of the past? Did someone tell you that you weren't worthy, or that you couldn't have it, or are you just afraid to let your heart kind of expand? Don't be, if that's the case, because there's no limit on love. Basically, it's the universal currency of the universe, and it can flow freely through you and to you if you allow it to. Okay? So love yourself. We're looking at wealth. Let me look at some other cards with wealth. Okay, some of you are overdue to ask for a raise or promotion. In fact, you might just be tired of working in a certain place because it's too much. It's too much heartache, too much pressure. And you should be managing, or you should be in a position where you have more autonomy. And if it's not there, then start to do the legwork, the research to make it happen. Because it will happen, but it's probably going to involve movement or leaving. So some of you are at a career change, and it might be you stepping into your own company, or just into a position where you have more power, but it's going to take that decision. Like, I'm going to leave this, even though I have seniority, even though I've been here for a while, it's just not happening. For the rest of you, it could be a decision of how much and what exactly do I want to do? These cards are showing that. Am I ready? Do I want to keep finished? Do I want to push something and finish it? Do I want to change course here? There's a decision. You're very close to finishing something. So make the decision, if that's the case, to do it. And then just make it work. Make it happen over the next year. Whatever you decide, you're on the right path. We have the star card here. So follow your heart, follow the vision, help other people see the vision, get them excited about what you're trying to do. I see good things in the future. Just have to love yourself and heal that heart space, because that's coming through as the only potential block to allow wealth and opportunity to come through. One last thing, you can't blend in. I keep saying that, but like, it feels like you have to step up. And some of you, that could be your Achilles heel. It's like, I don't want to be seen, or I'm not ready for that visibility. Okay, so let's look at love here. Bodies of water. Spend time near water, such as a lake, river, or ocean, to recharge your batteries. So the other thing that I see with this, I read the words, but I'm actually getting something different. It's the flow of love and abundance and energy coming into your life. And for some of you, it's rushing in, and it's almost too much too fast. For some of you, it's like a little trickle from a spigot, and it's hardly coming through. So realize you are the one that's holding the sort of the valve that's allowing it to come or to go. So set an intention of how much you're able to take on. And if it's too much, if you're a healer, if you're like a healer, a teacher, a therapist, if you work in a church or religious organization, you're just taking on a lot of mental stress, then this is saying, I need to let some of that go, or if I'm going to listen to it, I am a channel for healing, but I don't have to absorb it like a sponge. I have to let things kind of like with Reiki energy. You're not using your energy, you're not taking their energy, you're using a universal flow to allow for healing to take place. So try to be more kind of like the channel rather than the absorption of that energy. And I think that's going to be really, really key for many of you in any relationship. Let it flow, let it go, but don't hold on to it. And that's going to help you with the Three of Swords healing that we see up here as well. Okay. With relationships as well, wow, this could be a really deep connection coming through. That support that I was seeing could be someone that really, really loves you. And we've got the 10 of Cups and the Star card. So these are the two connections I would look for. I actually would look for 6 of Cups too, to say that it was like I don't use the word twin flame really, but if you had all of those, I would say it's something like that. Right now I'm seeing a deep soul connection and someone that really cares about you. So whether they're in your life or coming into your life, the question is, are you able to receive it, or are you so overwhelmed, like what we see here with the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Cups reversed, that you can't process it or can't perceive it because you don't want to miss an opportunity like that, okay? So love and support is there. Are you ready? And if you're feeling overwhelmed, how can you let it kind of go, let it process? So maybe a creative outlet would be helpful for some of you so that you're not feeling the need to try to sort of process it all in your head. So those are the main messages there with love. But yes, new love could be coming in, or a relationship could go to a much deeper level. 10 of Cups, 10 of Wands, Star. Those are graduation cards. So is Judgment. But it's like, are you again with this? Someone may propose, but you're not ready for the proposal. Or maybe you're at a point where you're like, I need a lot more because I'm looking for that higher love. So there's a decision with you to decide with like what you have. Is it enough? Do you want more? It always sits with you. Okay. Your final card is to stay focused. It's quite literal here. So I think for you, it was reversed. So there's distractions. There's a lot of other voices here. There's a lot of other thoughts. So in one of the suits or one of the decks of cards that I have, arrows indicate swords. And so for me, this could be crossfire communication. It could also be too much sort of mental noise and actual noise. So what you could do to focus is to try to find a place where you can just hear your thoughts, where you can just sort of be clear. And so maybe that is outside because we saw this. So maybe you need to get outside. Maybe it's good to go by the pool, by the beach, or just take a shower, take a bath. And that'll help you process the energy and the emotions a little bit. If you're going to do that, by the way, you can do an Epsom salt bath, which will also help balance everything out for you. Clear your thoughts, clear your minds, clear your communication, and everything else should follow. And you want to stay focused because there's so much great stuff at your disposal this month. All right, let's go ahead and quickly review everything, and then we'll go a little deeper and take a look at the soul path. So let me turn the camera down. We'll start with the first set of messages. And this month is a series of starts and stops for many of you, or a challenge to start again if you've been in a period where there's been a little bit of a lull. And the key is to realize that you don't have to do this alone. And we see that now with the 7 of Wands and the 10 of Wands. Support is there. Are you ready to allow it to come into your life? This support could be a deeper love. We see it here with the Star card and the 10 of Cups. So maybe there's someone who really, really loves you and wants to be more than just a friend or a supporter. If that's the case, it could be welcome. If it's not welcome, just put up your limits. If you have to loan money to friends or work with friends or exchange some sort of goods and services, be very careful. I think that it's important to outline everything, get it in writing, and then also you're going to have to express some gratitude if you're working with friends and family, because if you're too transactional, it could come off as cold, as calculated, as not being appreciative. And if you do have to loan money, don't. If you can avoid it, just say no or give the money to someone, because then there are no strings attached. It's unconditional and you wish them the best. The next bit of advice was about the third party that could be coming in. So for some of you, there could actually be someone coming in to test things a bit. If something seems like it's too good to be true, it probably is. You want to ask for some more details, push back, and don't let someone come between a relationship that has meant a lot to you, that you have a lot of history. Get to know what's going on before you make any quick decisions. Everything's going to come through and see the light of day. It's going to be audited or revealed. So just make sure that you are clean, clear, and in the know when it comes to all of those things. Interesting that judgment fell on the floor as I was doing that. Listen to your judgment. This is a chance for you to break some new ground. If you're going to do that, just expect some delays and take the precautions that are necessary. You don't want to go into a work site without a hat, and you don't want to go into a contract without understanding what you're signing. It's all the same, whether we're looking at literal or symbolic. So just also pad things for budget and time to make sure that you're not caught short. The next piece that came through was food, diet, and kind of like what you're putting into your body. The chimera to me is something that exists which shouldn't. It's a combination of things which are unnatural. The easy way to look at this is making sure that the food that you're eating is identifiable, is simply sort of, like whole food, organic. And I think that the main thing that you want to do is understand what you're putting in your body. Talk to a doctor, of course, before you make radical changes in your diet. Read the labels. Don't trust everything that's on the front. Really get to know what you're eating. And if it just doesn't feel good, it probably isn't. If it's something that's supposed to be some miracle cure, but it doesn't feel right, you're probably not getting what you think you're getting. Repair, replace, upgrade, especially your internet connection. This is the new way that we are working. It's like a phone. You need to have a really good phone and a really good internet connection. You can't afford it right now to not have that. So do that. It's a good investment. It might be even a write-off. You can talk to your accountant about that. We have a new moon cycle that's coming through soon. Make sure that you set intentions. There's a portal of energy that's changing in that period. What I saw was a chance to sort of like either expand or plant some roots if you've just recently landed somewhere new. And it's time to also kind of like prepare for personal growth. So maybe even going back to school or something like that. No more reruns. Like I was saying, sometimes when you look at the past 20 or 30 years, if you go back and look at something, it just doesn't hold up. Even on old episodes of Friends or something, it seems outdated sometimes. So this is time to really redefine what's possible and not get stuck in the old way of thinking, creating new processes, new procedures. All of that is going to be important. And that's it. So let's go ahead now and review the cards. Confidence for many of you could be where you're feeling like, I just can't do it, or I'm not sure. You might have a different Achilles heel. Whatever yours is, make sure that you spend a little time not underestimating yourself. And if you need some support, ask for the support in that area so you don't trip up or fall down. All right. We have communication and ideation at the center here. You have some great ideas. You need to talk about it or need to take some action on it. Just honor that. That's really what I see at the center here. Active listening, using your communication skills to your advantage. Lean on that. Focus on a couple of things here in your deep past and your crowning here. In the deep past, we have underestimating yourself, perhaps because others taught you that you needed to. And then up here, realizing that you actually are much more than they could see. You're strong. We've got this little tiny compressed energy here. And then we have someone standing almost bigger than life at the top here. And the heart's healing. It'll get there eventually. Once you start to take on that ownership, then we have two very strong cards here. A queen, the empress, and then the Seven of Wands, standing up for yourself. So I think many of you are getting to a point where you're ready to ask for more, defend yourself, take the necessary action to move things forward, preparing for even more demand. And at some point, you're going to need help to bridge the gap between the Seven of Wands and the Ten of Wands. The Nine of Wands can be burnout. The Eight of Wands can be sometimes unmanageable. So ask for help. There's help to be had. So in order to get from here to here, you've got to kind of make it work. Okay. Have you accepted a decision that's already been made, or that you have made, or that basically is out of your control? The sooner you can accept it and kind of work around it, the better, because love, graduation, and really development of the soul wants to come through. So the sooner you know yourself and allow for the star energy to come through, the happier you're going to be. New love and relationships are coming in. Don't force them, but also don't deny them unless it feels like it's not something that you want. A physical move could happen. it's a great time for those of you that have something big that you want to finish, release, or start to make this happen. The star is saying, do it before the year is up. Do it at the first part of October if you can. For health, love, heart-centric messages as well. Focusing on heart health, loving yourself, unconditional love with others, all of that fits nicely within that. Don't lift things too much. And if you are kind of putting a lot of stress on your back, make sure that you're supporting it in the ways that you need to. Make a decision this month to do something that you care about and allow that to happen. Sometimes the decision is the hardest piece when it comes to being healthy, being happy. For wealth, we actually see a soul flame relationship coming in. And it's interesting because there might be a little bit of overflow between love and work. And it's all about love here, really, because self-love attracts abundance here at work, which then can also help you flow over into relationships. So work on loving yourself, work on making sure other people can see that and that you receive abundance. And you might have an ally in the midst that's going to help you with work, but then it could end up being more than just that is what I'm seeing. So having limits and deciding what you want to do with that is going to be really important. With love and relationships, not feeling overwhelmed and allowing for it to flow through you. You are a channel. You're not sort of like this big vessel. And that's why we see fluid energy here, not a typical cups card. Even here, we see the cups emptying. You don't have to pull all of that in. This can be a divorce. This can be a separation. This can be a decision to start a new contract or a renegotiation of a contract. That's worth mentioning. And then finally, focusing on what's important to you. And also kind of like making sure that you don't lose your focus. That could be your Achilles heel here, that some of you are just getting too distracted by other things going on. Overall, I really like the energy, and I love that you end on the star, which is putting you into a place of power, of movement, of development. Okay? Let's go a little deeper now and take a look at the soul path. I want to focus first on 5 of Pentacles and 3 of Swords, the tricky cards, right? Like, how can we get past this feeling that, maybe I've been taught that I'm not enough or I'm not sure. So I'm going to try to help you with confidence and healing the past. All right, so let's give the cards a shuffle and see the message. Okay, we got a volunteer. All right, so we have the King of Swords in reverse. King of Swords in reverse is reminding you that sometimes our own words and thoughts can be just as painful as others, because they start to kind of play in our head and ricochet a little bit, kind of like an echo chamber, right? So I want you to put in positive energy in that echo chamber and start to make it more musical rather than sort of like this cacophony, which I'm getting when I look at that card. So thoughts of self-love, thoughts of even just movement. If you can't love everything about yourself today, then think something positive about how you're changing to be better. That's a step in the right direction. You could just say, I'm really proud that I've accepted this and I'm working on this. I'm working on myself. That's a positive thought. I'm working to be stronger and I'm happy that I've taken that step. And whatever you're trying to work on, you can put it in the blank. The other thing is to speak up. If in the past you were told to be quiet, back in the last century, kids were supposed to be seen and not heard. That was actually something that older people said, which is insane. But maybe there was something like that where people were telling you to hush, to not say what you're supposed to not speak up. Find your voice, cultivate your message, share it with the world. It's okay to speak up. It's okay to be heard. Sometimes we have to be a little bit louder. Pick and choose your moments wisely. King of Swords is just saying you have a lot to say. You're strong, you're powerful. Don't diminish that. Don't be critical of yourself, and don't absorb like the sponge, like we were talking about, all the stuff that maybe your mom, your dad, a teacher, a friend, a bully said. It's got to start to flow through the sort of emotional system so that new things can come through. You are fluid in that energy. You don't have to sort of hold it. Your heart wants to heal. So reprogram the sort of, like I said, the echo chamber so that there's music in there. It's like a hall of music rather than all these voices that aren't so good. Okay, I think that's it. Focus on positive messaging in your head. Speak up if someone says something that isn't right or that you don't want to hear anymore. It's time now to defend yourself, to speak up, to have a voice. You've earned it. And your voice may be something that a lot of other people want to hear, and your message may be something that's really important to healing and changing the world in the right way. All right, moving now to the balancing cards that I see here. We'll go to the decision last, but I want to look at the management of 7 of Wands to 10 of Wands. What's going on with accepting new things coming into your life or pushing back? I want to look at that kind of stuff. What's going on with energy management and allowing people or opportunities in? Queen of Pentacles. Good. We have another, this is like our first big money card in the right direction, a resource card in the right direction. I can create anything that I set my mind to. I am of value. I'm excited about what I'm doing. I matter. My voice matters. Listen to what I have to say. She's a very affirmative card, and she's not sitting down. Notice that? This queen is standing, and she's showing what she has to offer. So with this, and also notice the fertility energy in this card as well. So if you decide to, in a very clear and consistent way, invest in something, yourself, an idea, something that you want to move forward, movement will happen. You could be the center voice of that movement. You could also just be something or someone that really brings positive growth into your life. If you're trying to have a baby, this is a good card. If you're trying to finish something, this is a good card because we see fertility, fruition, movement, okay? And also if there's something that you're trying to share with the world, this portends good things. It shows me growth and abundance. I like it. So don't second guess yourself. And have you ever thought in the past that people could have been trying to quiet you because they were afraid of your power? They were afraid of your potential. All right, let's focus now on the future. Let's go to the star. Let's see how you can really get into that future developmental energy. All right, accountability. The 7 of Swords has been rearing its head a few times over the course of this month. There are a few ways to look at it. Let's look at it in the positive light. One thing that the 7 of Swords can indicate is finally understanding the true intentions of someone or something. You see everything. I said everything's going to come out in the light of day. Notice how the sun is rising, not setting necessarily in this particular card. So if somebody has been getting away with something, they're not going to continue to do that. If there's someone in your life and you're finally tired of that cycle, this is about moving on. It can be about cutting losses. And maybe you've lost something, but you're also gaining something in the process too. Nobody is a complete winner or loser with the 7 of Swords. There's always a little bit of an exchange. There's a little bit of healing to do too with the 7 of Swords, because it can be a betrayal. It can be something where the person just let you down. On its very lightest, it can just be, I said I was going to do it and I didn't. In its worst, it can be literally lying or speaking negatively about you or trying to steal. But the 7 of Swords opens up healing and growth and basically brings everything into a brand new place where you're like, I know where I stand. I know where you stand. So to get into the star from the 7 of Swords, what you have to basically do is to be very honest with yourself. Are you happy with what you're doing, with who you are? Are you working hard enough to get to this point? Are you putting in 110%? Because the star requires a lot of work. But if you do, and you are, then she's around the corner. If you're not, then what is it that's holding you back from stepping into that power? Is it motivation? Is it fear? Is it confidence, like we saw with the Achilles card? Whatever it is for you, find a way this month to kind of push out that energy, because she's awaiting that. This is just something you got to move through. This is just like a pothole in the highway of your life, right? It sucks. It might throw your alignment off a little bit. You might have to replace a tire. It doesn't destroy the car. The car will be fine. You're going to get an upgrade anyway down the future here with this card. So ignore the pothole that you're currently going through. Learn from it. Fix what you need to. And that's it. Don't go down that road again. That's what I would do. That's what I try to do when I hit one in LA. I'm like, I'm not going to take that path until they fix that. So imagine that there is something like that. There's a path that you don't have to go down. And my guides were showing me a path that was under construction. So I was getting the sort of intuitive message that it was probably like it's a couple months. It's like 45 to 90 days. It's more than 2. I think it's really like 2 to 3 months that you need to do like for this to happen. So we're looking at almost 2021 really for this big shift that's happening. So if you open yourself up to that, I think that some really cool things can happen, and you can move through this energy of having to separate or let go of something. Because let's face it, like 3 of Swords, not the most fun card. Judgment, sometimes not the most fun card, especially when these are reversed. And then the 7 of Swords is moving on. But all of these require just a little bit of letting go. Like, I'm not going to let that define me. I'm not going to let that hold me back. And I can't remember which sign I was talking about for this. I think it might have been Libra. But sometimes before we complete something, there's a test, and the test is the final sort of chance from the universe for us to sort of step out and say, okay, like, do you really want this? If the answer is yes, just move through it. It'll be the last test. If not, then you get a chance to just walk away. So this is a test of your dedication and heart and soul when it comes to something. So how much do you want whatever you're going after? Maybe it's fighting for love. Maybe it's fighting for a project. Maybe it's fighting in court for something that was taken from you. Whatever it is, got to push a little bit more, and then you're through it. And the Star card portends really, really good things. Okay. Let's go ahead now and go into the meditation. And before I do that, I'd just like to remind you, if you haven't already clicked like and subscribe, too many words, please do that. It helps me quite a bit, because it just helps people discover the channel. I do something a little bit different here. I'm not just looking at love. I'm not just looking at relationships or work. I'm kind of going across the board. So it's more like soul whispering or soul work, and it doesn't always find its way into the algorithm. So liking and subscribing actually helps a lot. All right, I'm going to do a singing bowl sound bath here, and we'll do a meditation as well. And I really want to help you get into the star energy. So we're going to release pain from the past, and we're going to move into the star, the future. Also, just a little bit of acceptance from judgment. I feel like those are the 3 pieces that need to happen. Okay, so get comfortably seated. The meditation will last about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll wrap up. So stick around, please, if you can. Close your eyes, take a deep breath. Imagine yourself at the beginning of a new day, sitting at the top of a hill, looking at the sunrise. And as you're doing this, I want you to really focus on your heart space. For the first time in a while, I want you to feel like it's starting to open up. And as the sun rises, this beam of brilliant, almost like it's almost white light. It's so bright, even though our sun is kind of yellow. But this really bright, brilliant ray of light shoots across the water, shoots across the mountains, comes straight towards your heart. And as it slings into your heart, you just feel like this. You take a deep breath, really breathe in. It's almost like you lose your breath for a second because it's this exhilaration as your heart is brought back to life. It's almost as if you're getting life support from the universe, and you were kind of going at half speed, and now your heart is receiving this energetic upgrade. It's being brought back to full speed. Any sort of pain or suffering that had sort of kept it in a diminished state, it's being melted away through this brilliant shade of unconditional white light coming from the sun. And as you receive this upgrade, I want you to think of all the things in your life that have been holding you back or have been making you feel a little bit less than. Allow the light to permeate to those memories, to those sort of soul fractures that we hold on to, and see it starting to melt them away. Or if there's any cracks, it's kind of like it's going in there and it's creating a healing. It's bringing everything back together. It's almost like it never happened at all, or the scar is very, very slight now. And take a moment to lay back into the grass and feel supported. Feel now the green energy of the grass, of the trees, of the flowers, starting to create this blanket around your body. And as you breathe in this time, this is the true color of the heart. Green energy starts to move through your body, bringing in wealth, bringing in love, bringing in abundance, all forms. Mind, body, and spirit, that green energy is imprinted all around you. And if you could imagine yourself as a flower, as a tree, or a blade of grass, you can see yourself starting to stretch taller and taller towards the sun, bringing in the light, taking that light, making it something else. And that's what we do in this lifetime. We are light workers. We take light, and just like a plant, we synthesize it, we use it, and we make it something, and then we emanate it too. That's the only difference between us and the trees or the plants, is that we actually can glow from within. It's almost like we have bioluminescence. So I want you to see yourself as that luminous being standing on the hillside, shining brightly. And you're almost like a twin flame or a twin star to the star in our own solar system, the sun. Take this moment to rise up, going above, again, past disappointments, decisions that you can't accept, realizing it's all just noise. In the sort of long history of the soul, these are just little tiny moments. They don't really matter. See yourself rising above the planet, getting into space and seeing the world, seeing the universe for all that it is, realizing your role in it too as being very, very important. I want you to see your light and see your resolve getting stronger as you are out of body for a moment and really just existing as the soul. Allow your soul to be strong, allow it to absorb knowledge from its highest self, its old store of lifetimes, and you can connect with the Akashic records if you want while you're listening to this, but start to get back on path. Take a deep breath and allow your light to shine. As you take a deep breath, see your light shine even brighter for a moment. See your body on earth, and I want you to imagine now that you could gently drift towards that body and enter in through the crown chakra, bringing that sense of divine knowledge, that regal connection to your past, to the divine, which is why we're going through the crown, and owning that, keeping a little bit of that crown energy bright and light, imagining that the top of your head is shining, just like you have a halo, or that the light is coming straight out of your head. Maybe you can even see it in the form of a crown. And then bring the rest of the light into your body, upgrade each and every cell, snap back into your body, but keep that higher self, keep that higher knowledge, and now stand up for yourself and fight for what's important. Move forward with the understanding that you've earned it, and that it is time to see yourself as you truly are, even if others in your life couldn't before you. They lacked the vision, they lacked the insight, you do not. One last breath, inhale. Rub your hands together, feel that warmth and energy, bringing yourself back into your body. Put your left hand on your heart, right hand on top of it. Allow for a final healing to take place over that heart space. Think to yourself that there's something about you that you love, and state that as you take your last breath. Gently open your eyes on the exhale. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you so much for allowing me to help facilitate the reading and healing today. I just want to take a couple minutes here to wrap everything up. First and foremost, I hope that you enjoyed today's reading. If you did, like I said, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love for you to also follow me on social media. I'm going to give you my website in case you didn't know it. It's nicholasashbaugh.com. And from that website, you can join me on social media if you'd like to. I'm pretty active on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And on all three of those, I will put story reminders, links to upcoming videos. Usually later in the day, I'll post a picture of all of the cards that not the Celtic Cross, but the channeled messages. And so all of that will be available there. And it's my username at Nicholas Ashbaugh. Don't follow anything other than that. There's been some folks that have popped up before claiming to be me. Just a note, I'm never going to message you directly. I'll never ask for money. In Messenger, that popped up in Facebook. So I don't typically message people directly. I just post to the wall or use the normal means of communication there. If you'd like to support me, you can do it through a traditional channel, like clicking the join button here or using Patreon. That's the methods that I use. You can use PayPal if you would like. It's my name, so paypal.me/Nicholas Ashbaugh, and it's all on my website in case you can't remember that. Twitter is the only username that's slightly different. It's @Ashbaugh. Otherwise, you have all the ways to contact me. For those of you that were kind enough to do Super Chat, I will, like I said, post a thank you to the pinned comment. I'll put your name in there. So I just wanted to say thanks. And for everybody that is already a supporter here as a channel member or on Patreon, thanks again. Like the deck that I was using today, I don't use it all the time, but I was called to use the silhouette kind of energy today. This is because of you. So I'm continuing to upgrade all of my decks. It takes time, and your support helps quite a bit. Remember, again, your strength, your power, and lean into the energy of the star, because that's really what's on the horizon for you. Okay? Much love and light. Thank you so much for showing up today. It was really my pleasure, as always. Beautiful, strong, magical energy coming through for your sign. So what a nice way to start the day and to end the weekend. I'll be back again on Monday. Let's see, I think I will be doing Capricorn next, yes. So I'll be back tomorrow for Capricorn, and then we will wrap up the last two signs at the end of the week. So you can check out the schedule on my website. And in the meantime, much love and light to everybody. Take care of yourselves, okay? See you soon.